Hello everyone and welcome to another video brought to you by me, Namejamie. In today's video we are going to be discussing whether or not old school RS is dead or dying, and if it is neither of those things and it is in fact growing, what are its major problems moving forward. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below if you're enjoying any of the content I'm putting out so far. I am a new small growing channel, so any support would be greatly appreciated. And without further ado, let's cue the intro.
Do you feel the
And welcome back. In today's video, we're going to have a little Winter Todd gameplay in the background as I grind for level 90 fire making. I'm currently going for all skills to level 90, but as I'm returning to college and my time is being limited, it's going to be a bit of a struggle, but I think we can make it. Before I get into a long explanation about anything, I'm just going to go out and say the answer to the question. The game is not dying, nor is it dead. In fact, it's growing, and I would say largely due to a few reasons, but the main one recently has been mobile. A few other reasons I think the game is growing is because of the amazing dev team and the constant updates. When Old School was first released a few years ago and returning players or veterans like myself were coming back to the game, I did not think they were going to have nearly as many updates nor devote this many resources to the game. I think the Old School team has done an amazing job, and I would really just like to commend them considering how far they've brought the game from its release a few years ago. Another thing I think as to why this game is thriving, as I'm coming back as a player, I'm finding there is plenty of content to be completed. This is sort of in addition to the devs doing a good job, right? That point. It's that they've added plenty of content for returning players like myself who are not super hardcore but somewhat casual players. And don't be calling me a noob down in the comment section. Here are my stats. They're okay. They're not amazing considering how much time I've spent in the game, but they are what they are. But they've added plenty of content for people like myself or new players to go out and do and never become like bored with the game. And then the final reason I would like to cite is that Old School itself as a game before any updates, just as like almost like as a system, is such a sound game that even upon release, it was a good game, right? When it was first released, I think 3 years ago, it was good, right? The game itself, like sort of like your other popular games like WoW or League, could revert back to their oldest form and still be good games for today, right? Because they're just such sound mechanical games that the base version of it without any added extras, right? Extra components are just fun. But with that being said, I do see one semi-big problem and one massive problem plaguing the game. And I think these issues might hinder the game and maybe even at worst case scenario kill the game moving forward if they're not addressed properly. The first is that I feel though skills are just not a part of the game as much as they should be. And furthering that point, the skills just don't feel integrated enough to the point where I don't know why I'm grinding them, right? So, like, take fire making, for instance. I get 99 fire making, and so what, right? There's no point for me to have 99 fire making other than that it's like an accomplishment to have a 99, but there'll never be probably a point in the game where I'll need that 99, especially as I move to PVM or PvP. So, with that being said, it feels like it's that way with a lot of skills, right? I'm grinding these skills and they're enjoyable to grind, right? But there's no integration into the game further than grinding the skill itself, if that makes any sense. And that was the minor-ish / sort of big problem, right? It could be addressed. It could easily be addressed by adding more features into the game that play into late game content or PVM or PvP, right? So that's not the big problem. The big problem is money inflation and just item cost, right? Is as a returning player, I now see items, right, that cost billions of GP, right? When I started the game, I had the Guthin set, I had the whip, I had the Fury, right? These items were realistic to get. The twisted bow, 1.5 billion coins or whatever it is, right? Me as a returning player, even with a good account, I don't feel like I'm going to get 1 billion coins, right? I don't think my friends who just started this game, I've never had friends who started the game. I always played solo. Now they're playing. They don't even think they don't even think they're gonna get hundreds of millions. Never mind billions of coins to get a single item, right? So it seems that they're locking some of the best content behind this extraordinary sort of just like money wall. Instead of it being based on skill or anything, it's just a time sink, and an RNG time sink at that, right? When you're asking someone to devote hours upon hours to get certain items, to get into a raid, to then have to donate hours and hours of their time to have a certain chance to get a split on one of the best items, which will then give them 1/10 of the money they'll need to buy the best item, right? It's just insane to me that you would ask someone to devote all this time for the slim chance to get these items, right? Judging on the old school artist's demographic, from what I gather, it tends to be a somewhat college-based, maybe adult person. These people don't have that amount of time, or the majority of them don't have that amount of time. Maybe some of them do, like the really hardcore people, but it just doesn't seem feasible for the common player. And I'm not arguing for easy escape, right? I'm not arguing that everyone should have access to everything and that you shouldn't have to put any time into to get these things, but I'm arguing that these things have to be at least feasible for most people. Not most people, but even a lot, or at least a larger percent of the population than 1% of them, right? Like, I think if these items costed 500 million coins, that's reasonable, right? That's a lot. That's still a lot. But a billion, a billion for one of them, like, this is insane, right? And I think the reason for this is, I was looking at the numbers, and I think it was either last year or 2 years ago, the inflation rate for GP was 70% into the game. That's crazy. That is an insane number, right? And I just feel like Jagex isn't doing a good job of controlling the amount of alkables and generated money that's coming into the game. And I feel like they're also not doing a good job of taking money out of the game by creating GP sinks or coin sinks or any of these things, right? I think the dual arena tax that just came out was a good idea, right? And that's gonna help, but it definitely isn't gonna be enough, right? So I would say this: if you're looking to play old school RuneScape, do it. It's still a great game. It's still a nostalgic game. It's still the game I remember playing as a kid, and it's still a fun game today. But if you're worried about the future of the game as a current player watching this, I would definitely start asking that people raise awareness, as I think they are on Reddit. From what I was talking to a friend, and he said that on Reddit this was one of the points they were also talking about, because I was mentioning it to him just as someone who doesn't really look at any of the forums, that we need to start talking about this. We need to start raising awareness that this is insane. There need to be more gold sinks in the game. There need to be less gold coming into the game, right? I like new bosses, right? But I don't want these new bosses to be 10 mil an hour and ruin everything else, like Zulrah was, like Revenants were, like Vorkath probably is, right? It's time and time again as I play games and I see these companies do this, is that they don't test the new content they're putting enough into the game, and they don't account for the effects it will have on the current game and what it's doing to the current game and its in the population and the items and everything. So with that being said, old school is in a great place right now. Aside from this, old school is in a great place. It's probably in the best place I would argue it's ever been. When I quit 2 years ago after playing for a year after release, I quit because I didn't feel like the game was moving forward. Coming back, I felt like I made a mistake. The game moved forward, right? And it moved forward in a great direction. But they just need to address these two problems. And how they do it, I would look forward to seeing and reviewing. But currently as it stands, I love old school, and I hope you do too. So I hope what I said was informative today, and it gave you a good opinion on whether you should start playing again or whether you should keep playing as a current player. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and as I said in the beginning of the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.